Hi everybody, I'm John Lincoln and welcome to another Ignite Visibility University. Today we're talking about Bing versus Google. Bing has a ton of market share. It's super important to make sure that you're focusing on it. I'm going to talk to you about how to optimize for Bing and why it's important. So first thing I want to do is start off with just a little bit of history, just for a few moments. So Bing was basically replaced live search in May of 2009, right? So that's when Bing started. And then it's powered Yahoo search since 2009 as well. So that was a big deal that happened where Bing came out and started powering Yahoo search 100%. So after that, in 2015, a new deal came out and basically said that Bing just had to power the majority of Yahoo search. And that deal is still in effect right now. So Bing currently powers the majority of Yahoo search. And when you look at the breakdown, Bing is actually about 20%, 20.9%, Yahoo 12.5%, but Bing powers the majority of that, right? And then Google is 63.9%. So that's what you're seeing as far as the breakdown, okay? So now that we've got a little bit of history, let's look at some of the similarities between Bing and Google from an SEO perspective. So when we look at the similarities as far as ranking inside of these individual search engines, first thing we see is that big brands rank higher, okay? Social signals correlate with rankings inside of both search engines as well. Backlinks correlate, so high quality backlinks. Relevant quality content matters and on-page technical factors, so you can't have anything broken on your website. And then it's quality over quantity with the backlinks, and generally both sites have the same layout. This is the things that are somewhat similar between Bing and Google SEO, where there's actually quite a bit that's different. Looking at Bing favors older websites. They also generally rank edu and .gov sites a little bit better than Google. There's more emphasis on social signals. If you have great social signals on Pinterest, on Facebook, on Twitter, Bing's gonna recognize that, right? And they're gonna rank you higher as a result. Now, they used to have this Link Explorer tool. Link Explorer tool is gone. So another thing is they don't index all the pages on the website, so only the highest authority pages. So what Google will do is they'll try to index every page on the website, at least have some record of it. And with Bing, it's a little bit different. You kind of need to have a certain authority score in order to show up in Bing. And Bing also has something called entity understanding. So with Bing, they have a better understanding of things like pictures, video, and audio, and they use that as a stronger component inside of their ranking algorithm. Google, primarily more focused on text content. I mean, sure, they look at multimedia, but Bing puts more emphasis on these type of multimedias, and they have a better entity understanding at the moment. Bing also has the ability to better interpret Flash websites. In the local search area, they're showing more small businesses inside the local pack and the HTML area than bigger businesses, where Google is primarily showing a lot more bigger businesses in those areas. You're gonna see that Bing puts a lot more emphasis on exact match keywords, whether it's in the domain name, the title, the descriptions, the H1s, the H2s, throughout the copy. That's a lot more important to Bing. So for Bing, it's more of this kind of like exact match, bit older school, older school in the Google world, but current new school for Bing. Generally, what you're gonna see online is that Bing has said that they usually just index about the first 100,000 pages. I do believe they're doing a little bit more than that now, but historically they were just indexing the first 100,000 pages of a website. Bing used to not be able to crawl a 302 redirect, right? It would basically like just terminate the crawl. They didn't recognize it. They would only look at a 301. That's changed. Dwayne Forrester, who used to work at Bing and was kind of like a spokesperson for them, came out and said that now if they hit a 302 redirect multiple times, they're just going to eventually assume that that's a 301. If you use the meta refresh tag to refresh a page, in the past that has terminated Bing's crawler and then they just leave your website. And in general, this is kind of an issue with Bing. They don't really have this outspoken educational system that Google has created with webmasters. That relationship is not as strong as it was in the past, unfortunately. One really big thing is Google used to have all these ads on the right, and they had 3 ads on the top. And what they did this last year was they made it so now it's 4 ads on the top, and they got rid of all the ads on the right. So that had a huge impact. So Bing still has that layout. Some of the main things to take away are that, this strong focus on keywords, a little bit older school, higher social integration, a little bit more focus on multimedia and things like that. We'll come back to that a bit. So now let's talk about Google. So when we look at Google, we're seeing more weight to newer and commercial and popular sites, right? So newer sites are generally ranking a bit better. There's a little bit less emphasis on social signals. Now, Bing has been really open about, like, we use social signals, right? And Google has been the opposite. They've said that we don't use social signals, but everybody kind of thinks that they do based off of the studies that we've seen. They also generally index all the pages on the website. There's more emphasis on text-based content. They do look at multimedia as well, but not as much as the entity-based media that Bing looks at. They have issues with Flash, local search. They're showing larger businesses generally. They've got more internal pages ranking. So instead of like ignitevisibility.com, you'll see that ranking for terms around SEO for us. In a lot of cases, they're ranking our service SEO page instead. They crawl all the pages on the website. And one of the things that kind of used to be a myth is that Bing could not pick up canonical URLs correctly. So if you're not familiar with what a rel canonical is, basically if you have multiple pages and you want to tell a search engine to attribute all the weight of these multiple pages to one page and to rank this page, because these other pages are basically duplicate versions of this page, right? You might have URL variations or just slight differences inside of the content on the page, then that's what a canonical URL is. Now, Bing in the past, they wouldn't even look at the canonical URL. They couldn't crawl it. Now I believe that they can. So that's not an issue. Now, I don't think that they're picking it up as well as Google. I was working on a really large site recently. There was still some issues there, but generally it looked like they were taking a look at the initiative. The 302 redirect issue is gone, so not as big of an issue as it used to be, and you'll see that on a lot of blogs online that Bing can't deal with 302 redirects. The way that they deal with it is they hit it multiple times, and then that becomes a 301. And we have documentation of that from Dwayne Forrester's Twitter. Also, Google follows a 0-second meta refresh. And so, you're not getting kicked off the page. But, some of the things that are really different with Google, especially as we're moving into 2017, right? Is that Google's doing things like RankBrain, artificial intelligence, right? So they're really, what they're doing now is they're looking at artificial intelligence and utilizing that in order to pick the best content, right? So what are users really enjoying? Taking that data and then using that to rank things inside of the search engine. Also, Google's had a really big mobile focus. So although Bing and Google both came out with mobile updates saying that, basically you have to have a mobile version of your site. Now this year, Google's coming out and saying that we're going to rank you based off of your mobile website first. So that's a whole nother shift. So these are some of the things to think about with Bing, right? A little bit of history for you. What's the same? What's specific to Bing and what's specific to Google? There's a lot to know, and I think that if you really hone in on Bing, you can do very well. One thing that I would say is make sure you go into Bing Webmaster Tools, set up your site and monitor it every single month, because there's probably a lot going on in there that you don't know. And I actually wrote the ultimate guide to Bing Webmaster Tools for Search Engine Land. I'll put a link to that inside of the bottom of the video. I recommend you check it out because Bing has all of these great analysis tools on the page level, on the link level, on the site structure level that I really think you'll enjoy. So that's it for today. See you next time. Have a great day.